But I think that there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about modern astrology for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and that's why we're here, and we're so excited.
Yeah. Also, like, it's like we all know Geminis. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's so applicable.
Well, Geminis.
I feel like they're like the trendy like sign to like shit on lately. I feel like all the memes I see are about Geminis lately.
Oh, this is, you know what? I'm going to turn our gain down just a little bit because it looks like we're peaking on our end a little bit.
We're peaking.
Which is good. I mean, it just means it'll be loud enough.
Sexually, and audio.
You can always turn it down. I just don't want it to blow out.
Anyway, yeah, you want to get started? You just go?
Let's do this.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
'Cause it's Witchcast.
Okay, well, welcome to Witchcast.
Hi, welcome to Witchcast.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Kate.
And we are your hosts.
Yes.
And today we are talking about a very special subject that we're very excited about, which is astrology.
Yay.
And we have a guest here with us today.
Yes, very exciting.
So we have occultist, yogi, and astrologer person.
And witch.
Let me try
astrology.
That. You go.
I like that.
Astrology person. Durgadas. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you go by just Durgadas, like Cher, right?
Well, no. So my full professional name is Durgadas Alon Duriel. And so that's what I go by.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's a really rad professional name.
Real quick sidebar. So where did you come up with that name and what does it mean to you?
Okay, so Durgadas is a name that was given to me, and that means servant of Durga or servant of the goddess in her fierce aspect. And then,
Red.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled with that. And then Alon and Duriel. So the shortest version of the story is that I also do music. And once upon a time, I was thinking of doing music as Durgadas, and there already is a Durgadas. And so he was like, yeah, you can use the name, but add other names too. And then I thought, okay, well, let's go on some epic spiritual journey to figure out what else to do. And my other background, my ethnic background is I'm half Jewish and half like Celtic. And so Alon means oak tree in Hebrew, and Duriel means he who has his name, he who makes his home in God in Hebrew. And so my father's name is Alan, and he's my Celtic side. So anyway, that's where it all came from.
That's perfect.
Love it.
And that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that.
Sorry, I was going to say really quickly, and I don't use my birth name because I am a psychotherapist, and so I keep these two parts of my life separate.
Okay,
that's amazing. Cool. You're a psychotherapist?
Yes, yeah.
We should talk later.
Yeah, that's the entire second half of this episode is going to be us being like, how do you feel like this relates?
Yeah, surprise! This is
astrology actually, does interconnect very well. Modern astrology, yeah.
That's amazing. So how long have you been studying and practicing astrology?
I first started studying astrology in 2005. I was in an occult order back then, a Hermetic order, and the teacher was an astrologer. And so all of us kind of learned as much about it as we could, and she talked about it all the time, and we hosted workshops. Astrologers would come to town and we would host them, and so I attended a lot of workshops that way. But that's how I started, and I just really took to it. That's awesome. I think some people really do just kind of, I mean, this is an astrology comment I'm going to make, but I have Mercury and Mars and Gemini, which I think is very good for astrological type work. I retain a lot of little bits of information well, so... Yeah.
Very cool.
Love it. That's so cool. So, like we were talking earlier, but, Emily and I are much more kind of casual witches, we like to call ourselves.
We're eclectics. We're
solitary. Technically.
Solitary.
Solitaire
is a card game. Which we are very interested in. We're solitaire eclectics.
But I only like to play solitaire on the computer. But
yeah, that's the difference between you and me.
Yeah.
So.
Emily's analog.
That's right.
But no, we've always been kind of interested in this. But I think for a lot of people, it can be very overwhelming. There's so much information, astrology in particular.
Absolutely.
Just seems like a lot of numbers and science and
right. Yeah. It's very easy to learn your sun sign, but everything else can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a bottomless rabbit hole, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's over 200 asteroids. So once you start getting to that level, it's like you can zoom the lens in as close as you want, really. It's, yeah.
Wow. I never even thought about asteroids.
I personally only work with one, which is Chiron, but a lot of people work with like Eris and Ceres. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Wait, isn't Chiron the moon of Pluto? Is that someone else?
No, that's Chiron.
Chiron. Similar name.
Well, Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And I think part of the reason it's so popular is because it connects with that sort of psychological, inner alchemical astrology process that a lot of modern astrologers are into. Astrology for self-development, things like that. Yeah.
Love that.
Very cool. So so anyway,
and we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, we're gonna just dive in. So Emily and I always split up the research. I got origins of astrology, and then Emily got kind of modern, right? 20th century.
Yeah. So I have a little bit about 20th century astrology, and then just like and I think I'll pull you in for a lot of this since you're the expert. But just reading your horoscope and I'm just realizing my chair is squeaking. Okay, I'm gonna try to stay.
It's good for a witchy podcast, right?
Yeah, a little creaking.
Spooky, sexy.
So I did, modern astrology and then modern uses of astrology, and then that's what maybe at that point we can talk more about it as sort of a self-reflective tool and how it could relate to psychology.
Yeah, and how it works with you. Yeah, we'd love to go into that. And then, so this is going to be very top line. Obviously, like this, like you said, this is an endless rabbit hole. So the idea is to just kind of inspire our listeners to then go off and kind of do more research on their own and kind of take up their own practice as they will. And of course, feel free to correct us at any point.
Yeah, or otherwise weigh in, make jokes, whatever you want.
Yeah,
sure, thanks.
Tease us mercilessly, tease us mercifully, whatever you feel like.
You can take it. Yeah, so I had the origins of astrology, which was fascinating. I took most of my information from this Time article by Olivia B. Waxman that was published back in just last year, 2018, and about the origins of astrology. And then I, of course, my trusty friend Wikipedia, which actually had a ton of information.
Bless you, Wikipedia.
Bless you, Wikipedia. Everyone, please donate. It's a great thing. Okay, so there's really no one really knows the true origin of astrology, but there have been markings on caves that serve as early evidence of such practices with astrology, showing lunar cycles being noted as early as 25,000 years ago. So this goes back to the beginning early man. And then with the Neolithic agriculture revolution, when we left our caves and started having farms, astrology, charting the planets and the stars basically became a almanac kind of resource. Farmers would use it to kind of chart and predict the weather and the crops. What is it called? The harvest. Thank you.
I just stared into
I got it from Emily's beautiful face. The harvest. So by the 3rd millennium BC, widespread civilizations had kind of already a sophisticated awareness of the celestial cycles and consciously knew kind of when things were coming around, when patterns were going to happen, and then aligning that to those patterns. Then let's kind of fast forward to Mesopotamia. And I'm going to kind of fast forward a lot through this because it's thousands and thousands.
We're fast forwarding through.
So that Mesopotamia was kind of the big origin of the astrology that we know today. So there's the Venus tablet of Ammisaduqa, and I'm mispronouncing all of these. But that was compiled in Babylon around 1700 BC. They think that was made, around this reign of the king of Sargon of Akkad, whatever.
Oh, sure, Sargon of Akkad?
Yeah, that guy.
I remember him.
Yeah, so, it showed an early use of this kind of astrology, of electional astrology. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it was Babylonian astrology was the first organized system around the 2nd millennium. There were these old...
Second millennium BC.
BC, sorry. Second millennium.
We're in the second millennium. Are we? Oh, no, we're in the 3rd. No, doesn't matter. Forget I said anything. But second millennium BC,
how
right?
Millenniums work. Okay, but BC, before share. So, anyway, so then in the 16th century BC, there's an extensive employment of omen-based astrology that was found, known as the Enuma Anu Enlil Enlil. I don't know. I'm not saying any of this right. It has 70 cuneiform tablets comprising of 7,000 celestial omens, which I thought was really freaking cool. They also kind of refer to some sort of oral tradition, which of course, unfortunately, is lost in the sands of time. But for this kind of predictive, omen-based astrology, it was really focused about kind of boring stuff like weather and politics. And they also had 32 tablets that were inscribed on livers of
livers of what?
Livers of a sacrificial animal. It doesn't say actually. I in my mind I immediately went to cow, but I don't think that's
I went
true.
human, so I'm really glad it turned out to be an animal.
They were inscribed on livers, dating from about 1875 BC. It could have been human. And then so the oldest known detailed text of Babylonian divination. Moving forward, basically a lot of the ancient people that I researched through history treated astrology as science. Nowadays, of course, it's kind of, looked down upon and not seen as completely unscientific, but for the longest time for developing, civilizations through Greek, Roman, and even Renaissance Europe, it was absolutely a part of science. Astronomy and astrology were tied together. So fast forwarding to Egypt now. So in 332 BC, the Ptolemaic Alexandria. There you go. Ptolemaic Alexandria. That Babylonian astrology was mixed with the Egyptian tradition of decanic astrology, which then created what we know now as horoscopic astrology. The big thing about this guy is the astrologer and astronomer Ptolemy, who wrote the Tetrabiblos, which is basically, that was the Bible that laid the work of Western astrology tradition. So he was the one who kind of just created that main first astrological text that then kind of traveled through history and was the foundation of what we know. That's actually then when he set up the 12 basic star signs that we know today: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, and Aquarius, and Pisces.
And his name is
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy.
but with a P. The P is silent.
Ptolemy.
Because but back to our friends Babylonians real quick. They actually also had zodiac signs that were kind of relatable. So the great twins, the lion, the scales, we can infer that they were talking about the same thing.
Oh, cool.
Libra.
So they had some overlap there.
Leo, scales, yeah.
And we talked about this in our crystals episode a little bit, but there was some people related the 12 jewels on the breast of a biblical character to the 12 zodiological signs, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I feel like this has been...
Zodiological? Is that a word?
No.
I don't think so.
Zodiological. I like it, though.
But it's cool. It's got a ring to it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something
trademark Emily Duncan.
Yeah. I feel like you could get like a doctorate in it or something.
Right. Zodiological. PhD.
Well, that's the thing is, like, in my research, it's literally, astrology is woven throughout. I mean, it's the fucking stars. You know what I mean? Like, oh, by the way, you can swear on this. It's like, it's within everything. It's like we're made of stardust. Like, it's all, our history as civilized humans is interwoven with this idea of, and it's so crazy to me too, because like the stars haven't changed, even though like they have, but not from our view of Earth, right? Like it's like these 12 signs have kind of existed since Mesopotamian times,
right? And in some form or another across cultures, there's this astrological or like horoscopic type stuff in India, in China, in everywhere.
Which is a perfect segue, because I wanted to now go to the Islamic world, India and China. How did you know that?
I have a sixth sense.
You do.
It's just for what's in your Google Docs.
Oh. No peeking. But basically, okay,
Psychic, but just for what's in your Google Docs. Anyway, go.
Let's go to the ancient Islamic world real quick. That was back in the 7th century, like astrology was taken up by Islamic scholars, because when Alexandria collapsed, there were so many Arabic astrologers. It was really big there, and they really, the work of the Arabic astrologers back in those days really increased the knowledge of astronomy, and a lot of the star names that we use today are from these ancient Arabic scholars.
Neato.
And a lot of these people too, that I'm not going to name them because I can't say their names, but they were credited as being mathematician, astronomer, and astrologer. Again, like this was all a valid science.
All part and parcel of the same kind of thing.
Right. And it still is, but like back then it was seen as that in the communities. In India, it's called Jyotisha.
Okay, so I know so it's Jyotish.
Jyotish.
And I don't know so much about it, except that I have a lot of friends who do it because I also overlap with the yoga world.
Oh, neat.
And a lot of them focus on, or people also call it Vedic astrology. Some people call it Indian astrology. There are lots of differences. They don't do the outer planets, and neither does classical astrology. Pluto, Uranus, Neptune. And then another thing that's hugely different, so to what you were talking about earlier in terms of the stars, so there's this thing called the precession of the equinoxes, which is that the Earth is sort of wobbles on its axis, which means that so there's something called a sidereal zodiac and a tropical zodiac. So a sidereal zodiac goes based on the fixed positions of the stars, and a tropical zodiac goes based on, which is what the Western zodiac is, does not do that. So like where the sign of Aries was thousands of years ago is different if you're talking about the fixed stars, the actual constellation, because of this wobble of the Earth. So Western astrology usually still ties the signs to the seasons. So Aries, for example, is always going to be at the equinox. Cancer will always start on the summer solstice. Vedic astrology follows the actual positions of the stars. And so because of that, you can be a Cancer in Western astrology, but a Gemini in Vedic astrology.
Wow.
And that's where things get really confusing, and it's a whole long topic. But tropical is what Western people usually use. And that's based on more on the seasons.
Yeah.
And so it aligns the signs with the solstices and the equinoxes, which originally is where they were.
Right.
It's just because of this wobble, the positions of the fixed stars relative to what we're looking at with astrology has changed.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And, we were actually talking about this earlier. We wanted to bring this up towards the end, but I think we can discuss it now. I mean, whatever.
Now's
but,
as good a time as any.
That controversy that came out a couple years ago about the 13th sign and how Western astrology is actually the like you said, like the original kind of mapping of what signs are during what dates is not correct to modern times because of the wobble, but it's rather harking back to the original time. So what is your opinion on that? Just I would love to know.
Okay, so this is where I'm kind of like a bad astrologer in a way, because for me, my thing is what I use works really well for me in my practice and in my work with other people. So a lot of astrologers have also been freaking out about like, there's all these new planets and there's all these new asteroids that we're seeing are relevant, and maybe there's a new moon here and this, that, and the other. And I have taken more of a like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. Like I'm never going to not use Pluto, for example, whereas some people were saying, well, should we not use Pluto? And so the probably unsatisfying answer is that I don't really have one, because I don't pay as much attention to the fluctuating stuff on the surface of astrology.
Yeah.
I'm more, it's like why I have a friend named David Leskowitz who does amazing work on the Centaur asteroids, and it's way over my head and it's groundbreaking and amazing. But like for me, the only Centaur I really work with is Chiron. Yeah. And so the long story short is that I don't really have a strong opinion, because I pretty much go with what I already know works. But if somebody introduces something new and innovative where I feel like they've really come onto something amazing, then I would add it in.
Yeah.
But so anyway.
That's great. And we, this is our 4th episode now, right? Yeah, 4. and we've covered tarot crystals, and then and then like we did a brief overview of witchcraft. But a lot of our research, and like we're still little babies, but like it's showing that like a lot of this, all kind of witch practices of all sorts, really comes down to the practitioner. It's really about what works for you and serves you best.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing I would say related to that is that there have been huge movements recently in the astrology world where people are practicing classical astrology, people are practicing Hellenistic astrology. So you have a lot of people now who are saying, no, don't work with the outer planets. Or why do we even think of Neptune the way we think of it, or Uranus the way that we think of it? And so I am not in that camp. I'm definitely a modern evolutionary astrologer, but there are people who are saying, no, Neptune is not the ruler of Pisces, or they're not working with that. So there's a lot of diversity in the field right now in that way.
Would you say is a good thing, or?
I think it can be good and it can be challenging. I think it's good when it's not dogmatic.
Yeah.
And when people are learning and growing from each other. I think that when there's too much infighting and I'm right, you're wrong, especially if there isn't the data to really support that, then I think that's not always productive.
Yeah, I think Emily and I are pretty much against dogma, which is why we were drawn to witchcraft and pagan spirituality in the first place. Yeah. So I agree. I would agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to, I'll touch on this later as well. But yeah, to me, it's like, astrology is ultimately considered a pseudoscience because there's a lot of things that you can't prove about it. Like it isn't,
right.
It's not like when X happens in the sky, we definitely get a thunderstorm, or like everyone who was born on October 23rd barfs. Like it just isn't, that's just not the way it works. But what you can do is use it as a tool to think about, does this apply to me, or like how things work, how you're working, how, you can use it as a tool to self-reflect and to... So it ultimately doesn't matter which system you use as long as it's one that is working for you and that you feel positive about, to me at least. I mean, and obviously there's a lot of different, I like horoscopes. I think that they're good. They help me out. But I also wouldn't be like, if you don't know, then you're not doing the right thing. It's just too dogmatic. It's if it doesn't work for you, fine. If it does, great, use it, you know?
Well, and I would say too, certainly with modern astrology, it's as much of an interpretive art as it is a science.
Yeah.
And so we have certain fundamentals that most people are going to agree on: Mars, aggression; Venus, beauty, right? But then when you start getting into the weeds of stuff like Venus in Sagittarius, trine Mars and Aries, then, people have their own interpretations of that. And if you listen to different forecasts or read a lot of blogs, you'll see that, people are bringing their own flavor. And so I think that that's where it's such an interpretive art, that there is room for diversity, in my opinion.
Yeah. I love that. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That. Yeah.
So actually, I just found my note going back to Jyotish. How do I say this?
Jyotish.
So one of the earliest treaties of Jyotish, the Bhrigu Samhita, dates from the Vedic era. Gosh, you should be doing this.
Nope.
It was written on pages of tree bark. The Samhita compilation is said to contain 5 million horoscopes, comprising all who have lived in the past or will live in the future. Isn't that crazy? I would love to get my hands on that tree bark. And the first named author's writing treatises. How do I say that word? Treatises? That's just an English word that I can't say. The first one writing things on astronomy, they're from the 5th century AD. That's basically where experts and historians say that the classical period of Indian astronomy is said to begin. So then jumping over to China also had a huge emphasis and influence on astronomy, and significant development that is tied from their system to Western astrology, as well as, of course, Eastern. It flourished during the Han Dynasty, 2nd century BC, all the way to 2nd century AD. And it had a close relation to Chinese philosophy, the idea of the 3 harmony, heaven, earth, and water, and used principles of yin and yang. These concepts that are not really found in Western astrology, such as like the Wu Xing teachings, the 10 celestial stems, the 12 earthly branches, the luni-solar calendar, moon calendar, and sun calendar, and the time calculation after year, month, day, and Shi Chen. I don't know what Shi Chen is, but different, but still, again, I think it's just fascinating that we had cultures from all over the world around the same times, all developing systems based on the same stars and planets and things like that. Mesoamerica. So jumping across the ocean, we also have people such as the Zapotecs, the Olmecs, and later the Mayans, Miztecs, Aztecs, also utilizing astrology in their calendars, in their date charting, in their predictions of weather and harvests, etc. Same thing, which also is crazy because you could argue that India, China, Mesopotamia, Europe, they're all kind of near each other. So those teachings could probably travel with people. But like Mesoamerica, like who was over? There's no way that people were crossing the ocean being like, "Hi, have you heard about Sagittarians?"
Well, are they using the same astrological symbols, or they're just also using astrological symbols to
my research didn't get that deep. It was I believe it was different though. I mean, we know the Mayan calendar because that's what we use now, but they were developing it. They used two main systems, one plotting the solar year that we know of 360 days. It's 365, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, but it back then, I guess it was 360. I don't know. That's what my notes say. But that was governing.
I actually think the Maya got it to 364.25.
Oh, dang.
Crazy.
I'm not totally sure, but they were astonishingly advanced astronomers and astrologers. Yeah. Just remarkable. Yeah.
It's so crazy. They also had a Tzolk'in calendar of 260 days, which governed ritual use. So the solar calendar was about planting of crops and domestic matters. And the Tzolk'in, I'm not pronouncing that right, that was about ritual. So each was linked to a very elaborate astrological system, like you were saying. And on this I found really interesting. On the 5th day after a boy was born, Mayan astrologers / priests, they were the same thing, like would cast his horoscope to see what his profession was to be, whether it be soldier, priest, civil servant, or sacrificial victim.
Oh,
oh damn.
So basically, like, you're 5 days old, you're a cute little baby, and priests are like, hey, let's see what your horoscope says for you. And one of those would be a sacrifice. So anyway, all of these ideas came together. It's thought that historians think it's when Alexander the Great conquered Europe around 330 BC. So let's go back to Western world again. So Greek and Rome, Alexander the Great exposed the Greeks to the cultures and ideas from Syria, Babylon, Persia, Central Asia. So this is when all the kind of starts to come together, and it basically translated these ideas of astrology from cuneiform into Greek, which then, of course, we used in through modern Western astrology. Okay. Anyway, around the 1st century Common Era, astrology actually started to be prohibited, and it was punished by exile or forcing people to commit suicide. Yeah. So it was probably, historians guess that using astrology around this time was probably likely to result in charges of magic and treason.
Yeah. Well, the Catholic Church actually still frowns on astrology because it's considered a divination practice, which you're not allowed to do.
Totally. So that is a perfect segue into quickly medieval and Renaissance Europe. So
you were not kidding about having so much to cover.
I have so much to cover.
I mean, honestly, it's such a deep topic. It's like, deep in like the well of possible information.
Right.
That not like it's such a deep topic, like I'm so deep, like I'm really deep,
but it's also that. Yeah.
It's also that. Yeah, it's both. So one thing I just want to mention about Renaissance and medieval Europe, in the 13th century, British monk Johannes de Sacrobosco and Italian astrologer Guido Bonatti, these were like big guys. Bonatti wrote this astrological textbook, the Book of Astronomy, around 1277, and it's reputed to be the most important astrological work produced in Latin in the 13th century. And actually, my homeboy Dante Alighieri put him in the 8th circle of hell in his Inferno. Yeah.
Is it right that I want wine when you use all these Italian
diviner.
words?
I know, actually, we never got that. So yeah, that's okay. So I feel like that's basically all. That's basically the main points I wanted to say. Look, there's a lot
Kate, how many more pages are left in your document? Just so.
Okay, it's
Two
a
more.
total of like 9 pages, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go
I just
into it.
wanted to tout your greatness for how much research you did.
There's a lot here. I will say this, here's a quote I'll end on. So science historian Anne Geneva writes, astrology in 17th century England was not a science. It was not a religion. It was not magic, nor was it astronomy, mathematics, Puritanism, Neoplatism, psychology, meteorology, alchemy, or witchcraft. It used some of these as tools. It held tenets in common with others, and some people were adept at several of these skills. But in the final analysis, it was only itself, a unique divinatory and prognostic art embodying centuries of accreted methodology and tradition.
Damn, I feel like that's still true today in a lot of ways. This is what I was going to talk about, is it's like, yeah, it's a pseudoscience, which I touched on earlier, but at the same time, it's like this wealth of like all of these things that you've been talking about, where it's like thousands of years of information have been accrued and people have been using it and it works. And so
yeah, it's its own thing. Yeah.
In its own way, as an art and as a,
So that's all I'm going to say on the history of astrology. Class dismissed. I felt like a professor.
Thank you so much for doing all that.
You're welcome. I'm sweating. Okay.
All right. So I'll take over at the 20th century. Jagadas, do you have anything you want to weigh in as we switch over here?
Well, no, I mean, just to say that, yeah, like a lot of the figures historically who are associated with math and science were very into astrology and or occultism.
Yeah.
Alchemy, music of the spheres. I mean, Pythagoras. These people were mystical, occulty, so.
And we love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I always say, to me, of course, the planets and stars and also sun and moon, those are all the celestial bodies, of course, have an effect on life here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tides literally change with the moon. Like
right.
Emily and I get our periods with the moon cycles. Like we are part, it's nature, and we are part of nature, and we are part of the universe. So like, of course, when I was researching this, I was like, of course ancient like civilizations looked up and said, holy shit, this stuff is crazy, and wait, I noticed patterns that keep happening, and I'm going to start charting these. Like, of course we're going to use that to clock our times and seasons and harvest. Like, of course we're going to then start to defer meanings for future occurrences. Like the fact that there's so many people think it's stupid, it's like you're basically saying life is stupid. Sorry, that's just my rant. But.
Well, and also, like, in a world without electric lights that's basically lit by fire, if anything, at night, right? There's no light pollution. So the stars are a bigger part of day-to-day life. The moon cycle makes a huge difference in terms of what you can... I mean, just think about that. Before light, electric light, if you need to do something at night and it's a full moon, that's a different world from today. Yeah. And also imagine, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in the woods on a full moon, but just how the full moon is striking enough, even in a city full of light pollution. But in a world with none of that, it's extraordinary. Yeah. And so, the stars were an intimate part of people's lives. They could see the Milky Way. They really knew the cycles of the moon, and it changed the way that they lived day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I was just thinking, I don't think I've ever, maybe in the suburbs growing up, but I don't think I've ever been in the woods on a full moon.
I can make that happen for you.
Yeah, let's do that. That makes me super sad.
Highly recommended. Yeah. Highly recommended.
I'm such a city person.
That's my dad grew up in the most rural part of Canada, and my family still has a house there that his father or grandfather built, that's there's one street lamp that a guy named Walter bought because he wanted a street lamp, not because they put one in.
Walter was like, I can't see. Okay.
Anyway. All right. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit about astrology in the modern age. So the biggest thing I want to do is just give you some juicy little tidbits about how we got to where we are with astrology, which is I wanted to talk about how we ended up with horoscopes in the newspaper, and some fun instances of horoscopes and astrology being a part of history, modern history. But before I want to do that, as I was embarking on this, I kind of wanted to ask, is astrology part of witchcraft? I mean, yes, it is, but when you think about what is Wicca versus what is astrology versus what is tarot, how do these things all interrelate? Is it even related? Because I mean, I don't know. I'm new to this. So I looked it up, and Wikipedia gave me a resounding yes, it's related.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And
Totally.
I'm gonna read a quote from that just because I liked it, but I would love to chat more about how they all intersect later too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's what my dear Wikipedia gave me. Along with tarot divination, astrology is one of the core studies of Western esotericism, and as such has influenced systems of magical belief not only among Western esotericists and hermeticists, but also belief systems such as Wicca that have borrowed from or been influenced by the Western esoteric tradition. A woman named Tanya Lerman said that all magicians know something about astrology, and refers to a table of correspondences and Starhawk's The Spiral Dance, which we've touched on a little bit in this before, but organized by planet as an example of the astrological lore studied by magicians. So, yeah. Yes,
go ahead. Oh, I was just going to, so I was just going to, just to talk about that really quickly. So, once upon a time in England, back in the days of the Golden Dawn and their forefathers and the people who followed them, astrology is very interwoven into that system. And a lot of modern occult practice extends from that system. They were sort of a bottleneck. And the most popular contemporary tarot deck, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, was made by people who were in the Golden Dawn, who used most of the astrological attributions that were placed with the Golden Dawn. So you see Mercury put with the Magician, you see Libra put with the Justice card, Leo put with the Strength card. And so it's certainly interwoven that way. And I believe in that tradition too, you were, and certainly in the Hermetic order I was in, you were supposed to study astrology and tarot. And then, of course, a lot of witches certainly practice magic in alignment with the lunar cycle. Not all of them, but, if you're talking about the Spiral Dance, I mean, the Spiral Dance has a section on spells to do or how to use magic on the waxing moon, the waning moon, new moon, full moon. Yeah, so I think a lot of people, even if they don't get to the level of like, where is Mars right now, will say, oh, the moon is waxing, so let's do a spell for increase, building something, the moon is waning. This is good for restriction, letting things go, and certainly like on the new moon and full moon, things related to that.
Quickly, while we're on this, can you just quickly define what waning and waxing mean for our audience / me? Because I always get them confused.
Yeah, sure. So the waxing moon is when the moon appears to be growing in light in the sky. So that's the time between the new moon and the full moon. And the waning moon is when the moon appears to be decreasing in light in the sky. And that's the time between the waxing or the full moon and the new moon.
Gotcha.
And so the idea, a lot of magic goes on a principle of similarity. So if we can draw sort of a metaphorical connection between what we see in the world around us, we can kind of use it in magic. So the idea of, the light is diminishing. So magic that's centered around diminishing, decrease, release ties to the waning moon. Or the light is growing. So stuff that's building, we could tie that to the waxing moon. Yeah, or like on the full moon, things are illuminated or they're completed, right? So the full light in the sky, or on the new moon, I'm setting a new intention. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That checks out.
And then another thing I wanted to touch on just before, that just sort of reflecting back on all of the wonderful things that Kate talked about, is just that even if you're a non-believer, even if you are not into astrology at all, you cannot deny, as far as I'm concerned, the degree to which it's been influential in creating our modern Western world and the world in general, in our culture, because it was so interwoven with sciences for so long. These things are sort of a part of our culture and just woven in. And so it's something good to know about. I, of course, do believe in it, but, but if you don't, it's still something that you should know about because it's a part of your world no matter what.
Yeah.
All right. So that I just wanted to get out of the way while we were still kind of close to that. Kate did such a great job covering the ancient roots. I'm going to talk just a little bit about some astrology adjacent historically significant instances and that kind of thing. All right, number one, modern horoscopes are best known from the newspaper. Where did we all see our first horoscope? Probably at the back of a free newspaper that we picked up somewhere around town.
Yes.
So where did that come from? How did that come to be? So a man named R.H. Naylor in August of 1930 predicted, based on Princess Margaret's birth chart, that she would have an eventful life. He was actually the assistant to the man that they wanted, But they couldn't get him, so R.H. Naylor did it, and he did Princess Margaret's birth chart, and he said that she would have an eventful life, and people loved it. So he started doing celebrity horoscopes, and then from there he predicted that a British aircraft would be in danger between October 8th and the 15th of 1930. And then on October 5th of that year, a British airship R-101 crashed outside of Paris, killing 48 of the 54 people on board. And suddenly everyone was paying attention to Naylor's column.
Wait, I'm sorry though. He predicted between the 8th and the 15th.
Yeah, he was off by 3 days. But back then there was not a lot going on.
I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of us like astrological horoscopes that I read are always like within 5 days of this.
Well, yeah, and who would dare to be like a British aircraft will crash?
Yeah.
And then if it did, they'd be like, man.
I don't know. Have you read Susan Miller? Susan Miller has ruined my life because she's so specific in her horoscopes.
Oh, really? I read free will astrology because I love that's my vibe. But okay, so the then editor, so suddenly a lot more people were paying attention to his column, his stars column, and so the then editor of the paper, which was the Sunday Express in Britain's Sunday Express paper, offered Naylor a weekly column on the caveat that he make it less dry and a bit more the kind of thing that lots of people would want to read. And so he started writing What the Stars Foretell, which was the first real newspaper horoscope column.
Nice. I love how a British aircraft will be in danger is not juicy enough for this newspaper editor.
He was like, make it spicier.
Yeah.
But even before that, at that point in time, a lot of people were using, or in the early 1900s, a lot of people were using astrology as sort of a character-defining thing. And in fact, even the New York Times, according to Smithsonian Magazine, consulted the stars because in 1908 they said in a headline that if Theodore Roosevelt hadn't been a Sagittarius, or if he'd had a different birthday, he might have been very different. And that was a normal headline for the New York Times in 1908.
I love that. I also love that Teddy Roosevelt was a Sag, because of course he was.
You're a Sagittarius.
I am a Sagittarius.
Yeah, she's a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Oh, and then so the guy that they wanted was someone named Cairo, I think. It's Cheiro, but I'm guessing it's
I bet you he's
Cairo.
kicking himself. He's like, God damn it, I should have taken that gig.
Yeah, right. Well, I think right now he might not be up to anything. But,
like his ghost
1930,
is.
actually. No, that'd be a long time ago. But he was a high society neo-shaman. And wait, I have his real name, but I clicked away from it, and I'm going to give it to you real fast because it's William Warner was his first name. But he goes by Cairo. And he'd read the poems of Mark Twain, Grover Cleveland, and Winston Churchill.
Those are some palms.
Yeah, he'd seen some fancy poems.
He's not seen some shit.
And then some other interesting things about astrology in the 20th century. These are kind of just juicy tidbits more than they are like world-changing things. But apparently MI5 actually employed an astrologer during World War II because there were claims that Adolf Hitler was using astrology to time his actions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that it ended up working out for them. But it was still something that did happen.
Wait, real quick, do we know what Hitler's sign is?
420, right? Born on 420. So
Was
I think that makes him an Aries, unless it's, or he could have been a very early Taurus.
I feel like, yeah, Aries sounds like right.
I don't know. It's tough to say that anyone is like, yeah, he's such an Aries.
I don't know.
Doesn't feel right.
All the Aries men I know are basically.
Yeah, he's a zero. He was a 0 degree, a 0 degree Taurus.
Oh,
Wow.
Never mind. But
So
maybe
now
his
we
Mars
know.
was an Aries. Anyway, go on.
Well, okay, so and apparently Nancy Reagan commissioned an astrologer after
Yeah.
John Hinckley attempted to assassinate Reagan. And so Joan Quigley became the secret White House astrologer at the time.
Wait, John Hinckley?
Joan Quigley.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
the
Oh,
astrologer.
John Hinckley attempted the assassination. Joan Quigley
Was the astrologer.
was the astrologer.
Okay.
Did
I
I
heard
say
like the
both names
same
twice?
name. I think so. I don't know.
I might have messed that up, or they just have very similar names.
Anyway.
Which
Wait, we were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that a lot of people have said that the Reagans were really into astrology and that he would actually host some of his conferences at a time when it's called the moon is void of course, which is a time when like nothing major is really supposed to happen. It's kind of like limp sails. And so the idea is like sometimes if you want to throw something out there that could be controversial and have it fall flat with no big reaction, like do it when the moon is void of course. So I don't know if that's true, but I've like heard that story before of the Reagans.
Oh, that's so interesting. Wait, so the of course is actually part of the actual official phrase for that?
Yeah, it's void of course. So what
I've
happens?
been seeing it that way and thinking it was cheeky for so long.
No. So it's void of course because it's so what it means when the moon is void of course is that it's made the last aspect it's going to make in the sign that it's in to a planet before it changes into the next sign.
It makes sense now that I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
You were thinking it's the moon is void, of course. Yeah, that's how you were seeing.
Yeah.
That's the moon.
Or like the moon is void, of course. Like,
I love it. Oh,
so like if you're trying to do magic timed with astrology, you would not cast a spell when the moon is void of course. If you're
Because it
trying
wouldn't
to
do
like
anything.
energize something, right? Because it wouldn't have the juice.
right.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
the moon is like
Seriously.
running on fumes when it's void of course.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That is so neat. I'm gonna scroll through quickly to see if there's anything else I wanna touch on. So there was a boom in interest in astrology in the late 1960s. I think we probably all know this.
Yeah.
We've
New
seen
Age.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah, and New Age, of course, became a big thing all over, but astrology in particular had a big resurgence in the 60s, and it's basically stayed by and large since, I feel like, to my understanding. Maybe the 80s was a little downtime, but...
Which is funny, because that's when the Reagans were in the White
I could be
House.
wrong. That's the 80s thing was just a guess, and I'm talking out my butt,
Well,
so don't listen.
I have the same
Don't listen to
stereotype
me.
about the 80s in my head of like being just
Everyone was
about
too busy
malls
with
and
the cocaine and
Yeah.
the malls.
the big hair and
Yeah, their hair was
Shoulder
too
pads.
tall. It was too close to the stars. It was blocking out the moon. Okay, so apparently in a 2005 Gallup poll and a 2009 survey, this is just direct from Wikipedia, but by Pew Research Center, reported that a quarter of all U.S. adults believe in astrology. So that's... That sounds right. And then the National Science Foundation said that fewer Americans rejected astrology in 2012 than in recent years. So it's on the rise. People are into astrology. I mean, and I think that's that sort of follows the pattern of what we've been talking about, which is that people are interested in Wicca. They're interested in witchcraft. They're interested in alternate ways of being spiritual and of connecting with community and that sort of thing. And that this is one of those ways that I think people are reaching out to each other.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I would say to that too is that astrology is so broad that when we say that people are into astrology, it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. Right? So there is horoscopic astrology like you see in the newspaper, which is often very, very general. Right? Because in order to give a real accurate prediction to someone, you need to have their chart and look at their chart based on what's happening with the planets in their current positions. And so for me to say this is what the week is going to be like for all cancers is really hard to do, right? Accurately. But there are some people where that's a lot of what they see with astrology, or they think of their sun sign and they take that to be most of what it is. But really, everybody has a sun, a moon, a rising, a Venus, a Mars, all the planets, and that all individually interacts with what's going on with the planets in the sky at the time, at now. So, so astrology has different degrees of specificity and different sort of levels of power based on that too. And I would say the same thing about magic. Like some people do astrologically based magic based on just the moon. And then other people will incorporate like, oh, this is what's happening with Venus, so let me do this too. Yeah.
Great. Would you mind talking a little bit about the difference between, say, your sun and rising and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so your sun sign, which is, of course, what most people know of in astrology when they say, what's your sign, is the sign that the sun was in when you were born. So if I'm born on July 1st, I'm a Cancer. If I'm born on November 1st, I'm a Scorpio. And the sun sign is arguably the most important sign, kind of by a lot, maybe tied with the moon, and it really correlates to who we are on a deeper level. I often talk about the sun sign as being what beats our heart. It's like what really is driving you beneath the surface. And so, for example, for me, I'm a Cancer and I work as a psychotherapist, and I'm very drawn to healing and nurturing. And that's very aligned with that. And that also fills me. It satisfies me to do those things. So I practice a type of astrology called evolutionary astrology. And often what we say in evolutionary astrology, and I think this came from Stephen Forrest, is that the recipe for happiness is to feed your sun and moon. So your sun sign is sort of how you are on a deeper level, and your moon sign is how you feel. And it's also your subconscious and your routines and habits and like the way that you experience emotion and the things that stir you emotionally. And so if you're feeding your sun, then you're feeding your core sense of purpose. And if you're feeding your moon, you're feeding what you feel emotionally moved by and drawn to and connected to. And then your rising sign is the sign that was on the horizon when you were born. So rising in the east when you were born. And then that's what some astrologers will call the mask, but it's sort of like the personality more at the outer levels. So like I have Sagittarius rising. So when I'm meeting people, I probably seem more like a Sag than a Cancer. And I definitely have all those Sag qualities. It's just they're more at the outer level of my being, whereas when you get to the inner level of my being, that's where the Cancer stuff is. Yeah, so that's what sun, moon, and rising is. It's often called the primal triad, because the idea is if you know those three things about a person, you know a lot about their psychological makeup, how they interact with other people, how they engage with the world. And then there's even more specificity once you get into like where is someone's Mercury, Mars, Venus, and what houses are all of these things in. So that's the other thing. So the sky is divided into 12 houses, and the houses all correspond to different areas of life. So for example, my moon is located in the 10th house, which is the house of career. And so for me, career is a big focus in my life. I have a lot of emotional energy drawing me there. Whereas for someone else, their moon might be in the 4th house, and they might feel that similar type of draw to really focus on their family or things related to the home. And so that's just generally how that works.
Oh my gosh, my mind is like spinning. This is thank you. I feel like no one's ever succinctly described this to me ever. I didn't even know where rising came from. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. That's fascinating. Wait, Can we quickly talk about our primal triad? So you're rising Sagittarius.
My rising is Sagittarius,
Sun,
my
Cancer.
moon is in Libra, and my sun is in Cancer.
Oh, your moon's in Libra. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It is interesting. Sorry. Well, it's interesting too. So this is another thing. And the thing about astrology is there's always this moment where as a professional astrologer or just an astrologer who's just really interested in the field, like as a hobby, there's always this moment where people's eyes glaze over because it gets so technical and it gets so jargony. Because the thing I was going to add to that is, so not only do you have a sun that's in a particular house, in a particular sign, but your sun is also in relationship with the other planets at the time that you were born. And sometimes it's in a very significant relationship. So for example, in my chart, my moon is conjunct Pluto. So conjunct means that they're basically occupying the same or a close position in the sky, and it fuses their energy together. So if somebody's doing my birth chart to try to tell me about my personality or look for predictive astrology about what's coming down the pike for me, you can't understand my moon without also understanding the Pluto that's sitting right next to it, because they really work together. And so that's where astrology starts to get very personal and specific. So people will say, oh, isn't it stereotyping? Well, yeah, if you're looking at the sun sign level in and of itself, then yes. But when you start getting into the relationships of the planets with each other at the time of your birth and how that all affects your personality and your strengths and your weaknesses, the things that you're drawn to, the things maybe you're repulsed by, it gets very, very specific.
Right. It's a much more complex look at an overall.
Yeah, and then I think that makes so much sense that when people who like to shit on astrology are like, well, I'm nothing like a Cancer, or I'm nothing like a Libra. Well, it's like, yeah, no shit, because that's one aspect of that's like one.
And it's also, if you're reading the newspaper versions of something, it's going to be 12 tiny descriptions that's trying to hit as many people as is humanly possible. Right. You know, like really that job isn't the same thing as doing someone's full chart and then looking at who they are as a person. It's like, how can I kind of broadly describe something that's going to potentially reach, you know, a very large swath of people?
Yeah, and I would say also one thing that's been very great and grounding for me as an astrologer is that I have a twin sister, and we are very different from each other, but I can see how we have the same chart. So yeah, so we you know, we have the same chart. We're experiencing the same transits every year. Transits are the impact that the planets have on your birth chart. So there's your birth chart, which is static, and then there's what's happening in the sky right now and how that's connecting to your birth chart. And that's a lot of what predictive astrology is about. And so my sister and I have the same chart. It's different by 1 minute. It doesn't really there's really almost no difference between them. But I very much see our differences in personality, but how we can have the same chart even so.
Huh.
It's very grounding. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even think about twins. Oh, wait, real quick. Cusps, are those real or are those bullshit?
Okay, so here's the thing about cusps. So a couple things. So one thing that's really cool about cusps is that the sun is actually big enough. This is something Stephen Forrest has talked about. The sun is actually big enough that it occupies more than 1 degree. So sometimes a cusp is that, right? So the sun is hanging out a little bit in the next degree. And then other times, though, so in my experience as a working astrologer, a lot of people I've seen who've been cuspy have had cuspy traits. Now, part of that also, I think, is because, you know, for example, the planets Mercury and Venus are never very far away from the sun. So, which is because like they're closer to the sun than the earth is. So in terms of their orbit, they can never be more than a certain amount away from the sun. So Mercury, I think, is always in either the sign the sun is in or the sign before or the sign after. So sometimes when you have people who are cuspy who really seem like the sign before, it's because their Mercury and Venus is there. So maybe they're like a 1 degree Virgo, but their Mercury and Venus are in Leo. And so that definitely gives them more of that Leo feel. Yeah. But I also think there's something to the cusp itself being a bit of a transitional thing and having a little bit of the qualities of each sign. Personally. Other people very firmly disagree with that, but that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. I always wondered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was born within an hour of a cusp, so I'm always like, cusp?
Yeah, you totally were.
Yeah.
And do you feel that way? Do you feel like a little bit of both?
Yeah, and also my mom is a Libra and my dad's a Scorpio, and they can't agree on what time I was born, and depending on who's right, I'm either like a Scorpio with Scorpio rising or like a Scorpio with Libra rising, but so I've always just read
very different things. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a Scorpio. The Scorpio stuff always sort of rings truer, but it's like I recognize that there's a Libra part of myself that's there.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
It's just like, I just read both just because on the off chance my mom's right. You know, like...
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, I guess, right?
Yeah.
To read both. I mean, fun fact, like 3 years ago, I assumed Emily was a Libra our whole friendship.
I was like, no, I'm a Scorpio, and
I insisted you were.
Yeah. It was
that was our first fight.
our like first and only major fight.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. How could I was so wrong. So yeah, Emily's a Scorpio. She's a double Scorpio. You're Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising.
Yeah, but sitting on the cusp there.
Yeah.
And where's your moon?
I think it's Sagittarius.
So do you know, so here's a technical question, but do you know if your sun is in the 12th house or the 1st house?
I don't know.
Oh wait, no, you're a Leo moon.
No, you're right. I'm a Leo moon. She always knows where my moon is. I was really hoping you'd jump in.
I forgot for a second, but then I remembered.
Yeah.
Fierce. Emily is fierce, basically. She's scary.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's in the 1st or the 12th.
Yeah, I don't know. My house is. That's
the thing. I should have had it up for us to check.
The house is. I can't. Like, the houses make my head spin. I can't. It's really hard for me to, like...
Well, here's what I would say. And this is the thing I would say really quickly about that, is that I actually think sometimes a healthy thing to do with learning astrology is actually to do a little bit of flashcards about, like, what are the signs, what are the planets, what are the houses. And the thing is, they all tie together. So, for example, Mars is the planet that rules Aries, and Aries rules the 1st house. So as you know about Mars and you know about Aries, you know about the 1st house. Similarly, Venus rules Libra, also Taurus, but rules Libra, and Libra rules the 7th house. So if you know about Venus and you know about Libra, what's happening in the 7th house, not going to be that far of a stretch. Cancer, the moon, the 4th house, the family is the 4th house is the house of family. Cancer is a sign connected to family and home. So it's not super much to memorize, and it all interrelates. So anyway, just a little bit about that.
That's actually a really good tip. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I just looked up I have like my natal chart on bookmarked.
Yeah.
But I'm a rising Scorpio. So Emily and I are both rising Scorpios. Yeah. Which I like to think is why we get along. My boyfriend's also a rising Scorpio. I feel like I'm attracted to those kind of people. But my sun is Sagittarius, like I said before. My moon is Capricorn. So I like to say, yes, I'll have sex with you and do those drugs. But first, I'm going to research the side effects of those drugs and then get an STD test afterwards. Because I'm responsibly reckless and slutty.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Capricorn moons. Well, so here's the thing. So first of all, you do kind of need to see someone's whole chart.
Yeah.
But you see someone who's Scorpio, okay, they're probably really good at seeing through people's bullshit. Leo moon, though, probably gives you a little bit more of a lightness and a playfulness than you normally would see in Scorpio. And Leo is a square to Scorpio, so that means that they actually have some fundamental differences and conflicts. But that on a deeper level, though, you would be Scorpio. You would be Scorpionic. So even though there is that Leo playfulness or that Leo preening or whatever, on the deeper level, you got the emotionality. And then the interesting thing about Sag with the Capricorn moon is that, Capricorn is so practical and so down to earth, and Sagittarius wants to jump off the cliff and go do whatever, so it's just an interesting combination. And so this is part of why when we look at people's charts and how we can't stereotype based on the sun sign, we see these additional flavors. Because if you are a Sag with a Capricorn moon and maybe also a Capricorn ascendant, you might be super practical to the point where it outweighs or tampers down a lot of that Sag explorer jump off the cliff. And you might not resonate with the Sag stuff you read. But then when you learn more about how, okay, Sag is also philosophy, and I have this Capricorn moon and this Capricorn rising, it might make more sense. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, totally. I love this. Oh,
all right.
All right, we gotta let you go. Thank you. This is fascinating.
Thank you for having me.
We could
Super
literally
fun.
talk to you forever.
Like hours.
We could
Thank
blow
you.
so much of your time on us. And thank you for spending the time.
Amazing.
Do you have things that you want to plug? How
Yeah.
can people find you? Give us everything.
Yes, I have two big things to plug. So the first one is that I'm part of a new website called modernwitch.com, which comes out on July 22nd. And we are also going to be blogging on the Pathos website. And you can find us at modernwitch.com or modernwitchofficial on Instagram. And then I also have a book coming out next March from Llewellyn Worldwide called The Little Work. And that is a book about personal development through occultism, yoga, and also integrating some of my psychotherapy knowledge. And it's really about how to engage with your day-to-day life in a way that supports your spiritual practice and your magical practice.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
We're gonna buy your
You
book.
were definitely gonna buy your book. Also,
Thank you.
Llewellyn, that's huge. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm so glad we got you before you got super famous.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. That will knock on wood over here.
Yeah, knock.
Oh, that's
knock.
gonna make such a sound on the microphone.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Leave it. It's Foley work. Okay. Oh, okay. I almost forgot. So at the end of every episode, we also draw
Yes.
a tarot card. Or
Yeah, we have to
crystal
draw a tarot card.
And just quickly describe what it is and what it means. So Emily, why don't you pick the card today?
Okie dokie. I am going to cut the deck. And I am going to pull this card right here, which is the Two of Water.
So this is, I'll post a picture of this on our Instagram. This is the Vision Quest Tarot. I just got it. It's a Native American Wisdom Tarot by Guy and Sylvie Winter and Joe Doze. Not sure how to pronounce that last name, but that's not new for me. Okay, it's the Two of Water, which is love.
And it's so pretty. And this deck is really, really pretty also.
Yeah, I love the illustrations. So instead of the traditional kind of suits in a kind of standard Rider-Waite inspired deck of like chalices, wands, swords, etc. They have actually the 4 elements. So it's water, fire, earth, and air. So since this is the 2 of water, you could say that the equivalent in the Rider-Waite deck is the 2 of cups or 2 of chalices. So this is, in essence, love, harmonic convergence of male and female forces, bliss, spiritual ecstasy, growth, friendship on the highest level, kinship of souls. Inner message, this
Sick. Sick.
Ooh, yeah. Inner message. This image represents an openness to the highest form of love and your growing readiness to live that way. These gently joining hands represent 2 souls touching one another subtly in perfect harmony. This kind of loving connectedness may but not need find a sexual expression. It is complete in itself. It gives without expecting anything in return and gratefully receives what it is given. Outward manifestation, your willingness to love without creating even the most subtle chains for your partner will bring you the success you have longed for on every level. You have a genuine desire to go beyond anything you have felt before, to discover your spiritual essence of life and therefore your own true purpose. The ability and willingness to love selflessly is a major part of this quest. Emily, I feel like they're talking about us.
Do you think it's about us?
I think this is our partnership.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Kate.
I'm going to say it's our partnership.
I love it. All right.
Yay.
That's it then. I was totally gonna deflect it and be like, and there you go, Witchcast listeners, there's your card for today.
I was like, no.
Whatever day it is for you when you download this.
Feel my love
I like
for
that
you.
more.
I thank you. This has been fascinating.
Yeah, I would honestly, is there anything, I mean, I know that asking you to give a quick soundbite on this is insane, but is there anything that you feel like we haven't covered in terms of how, I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 things, but are there any little things you might want to add about how you find personally that astrology relates to psychotherapy?
Okay, so one of the things that I would say in terms of astrology and the personal spiritual journey and inner alchemy and personal development is that in evolutionary astrology, there's this idea that we are working on this evolutionary trajectory that lines up with the nodes of the moon. So your south node is where you're coming from. This is what looks like a little U if you run your chart on like astro.com. And your north node is the horseshoe. And so your south node's where you're coming from, your north node's where you're going, and you have this evolutionary journey. And as the planets are moving through your lifetime, they are triggering certain influences in you internally and then also environmentally to sort of help you with this process. And then you have the choice in evolutionary astrology. You have the choice about what you're going to do with the astrological energy that's coming to you in your life. And when we don't know that, and we're not operating on a very high level of awareness, we tend to kind of just get buffeted about by it. And it's influencing us, but we don't necessarily know what's going on. But when we start to really learn about astrology, then we can be more intentional with, okay, so I'm having a Mars transit coming up. This might be a really good time to do a work project, like a building project. Do I need to clean the house? Yes, let's do it then. You know, that's one small example. But as we move to the outer planets, it's more tidal, and they have these deep impacts on our life and our personal development. And so there are these astrological milestones that happen that really shape us, and especially if we avail ourselves of them. So the most famous one is the Saturn return, which happens when people are between the ages of roughly 27 and 30. And it's a real time of reckoning. It's a time when we come face to face with reality and what we've done in our lives so far, and where we're showing up with our intentions and our values, and where we're not. And where we're not, we get usually kind of smacked up by the head. But where we are, though, it can be a great flourishing. So one of the best examples in modern times that I know of a flourishing Saturn return is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because she's in hers right now, and for her,
she is.
Yeah, it's this.
Sorry,
it's this.
I got really excited.
No, but it's this blossoming. She's, which happens when we've been sort of living in alignment with our sort of trajectory before the Saturn return, and when we haven't been, it's a rougher ride. But the idea is that Saturn transits bring us face to face with reality in a way where we can't really avoid or deny it as we might normally, as many people often do. Yeah.
Love Saturn's return. I talk about it all the time to people because I got my ass handed to me for my Saturn's return. And every time I talk to someone who's in their 20s, they're like, oh, life. I'm like, oh, have you heard about Saturn? And it blows everyone's mind because everyone I tell, like, I give a quick, like, stupid, like, 101, like, much less intellectually accurate than yours is. But, like, I basically tell them what Saturn's return is. Mm-hmm. Everyone is, like, blown away because they're like, oh, my God, you're absolutely right. I'm totally feeling this.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's coming of age.
Yeah.
You know, and it's coming of age in a way that isn't even acknowledged by psychology. And there are other things like that beyond just the Saturn return that happen. So in the future, hopefully one day, if I do end up writing a book about astrology, that's actually what I want to write about, is the different developmental things that happen as we go through life. Like, okay, so there's the Saturn return, but then also there's going to be a Saturn square and a Saturn opposition, and what those different things mean at different times in our life.
Oh, I would also totally read that book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wait, one last thing. Will you just say hex yeah with us?
Yeah.
It's our slogan.
Sure.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Hex yeah!
'Cause it's Witchcast.
Thanks so much to Durgadas for joining us. You can find us on Instagram at Witchcast Podcast.
You can email us at witchcastpodcast@gmail.com.
And also, of course, our website, witchcastpodcast.com.
And we're on Facebook. I almost said Twitter.
Oh, yeah,
we're on Facebook.
We're on
also.
Facebook. I can't do Twitter right now.
No. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Yes.
We do have one quick announcement to make before we go.
Oh, yeah.
We've partnered with Sylphrin Circle, which is a very cool, I burped a little, a very cool website. Sylphrincircle.com. You can check out their stuff. They have all sorts of cool witchy resources. You can take classes. You can read their blog. You can get all sorts of cool stuff.
Book a reading.
There's
and we'll be on there too.
Cool things, and we'll be on there too. So check it out, sylphrincircle.com.
And also they're on Instagram as Sylphren_circle, SILFREN_circle. And it's on Instagram. And please rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe.
Yeah,
review.
Don't forget to hit us with a review,
subscribe,
5 stars, whatever you want.
It legitimizes us so then other people can listen.
Yeah, it helps other people find us. Yeah. And thank you again so much for listening. We love you.
And we'll see you
next week. Good night and good luck.
Good night and good luck. Chicago.